TAQ Capital. Technical analysis quickly.
This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Before taking any action based on the information provided on this channel, it is recommended that you seek the advice of a professional licensed financial advisor.
Let's do this.
Alright, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Bear with me here as I fumble through this video because I slept from about 7 to 11 in the morning today. Whatever. Either way, I've had 4 hours of sleep, so I'm struggling. I was up all night getting stopped out by this stupid coin. It seemed like every time that it took off, I would move my stop loss just above my entry point and it would come down and stop me out. Frustrating. But we are right now in the process of starting our actual dump. And what this is a bounce off the orange wedge. So this is completing, and then we're going to go crashing down to below these two lines here. And I would say probably around 18.2. And that will close out this teal symmetrical wedge and the green ascending broadening wedge. And I'm going to zoom out here to show you those. That 18.2 mark is right in here-ish. And this is the green ascending broadening wedge. This here is the teal symmetrical wedge. So both of those are going to end here as we dump down this direction. Then that's when we swing up to break through the red. So what the hell happened to this $20,400 mark I called out in my video yesterday? Well, that's quite simple. Let me jump in here and show you that. This is a zoomed in version of the 4-hour time frame I was just looking at, okay? But we're zoomed in. It's this teal wedge here. That one and this one. And I'm going to zoom in more. Here we are on the 15-minute chart. In the orange wedge, we peaked right here from a wedge touch standpoint. Obviously, this was the peak. But from a wedge touch standpoint, it was here. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4 bounce. And then this, I thought, may have been the breakout. But we actually got a double bounce there. Now, there's a lot of people saying that Bitcoin's dumping today because the indices are down. And it's certainly possible. However, this took place at 3:45 in the morning was the second double bounce, and it decided to not be a double bounce at 7:30 in the morning. And the stock market doesn't open until 9:30. Obviously, you know, that's what the New York Stock Exchange. So, I mean, around the world, indices may have been down. I honestly haven't even looked into it, but I've seen a lot of people I listen to talking about it. But realistically, when a wedge comes to an end, it happens in one of two ways. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 breakout. So that's a 5-point move. Or it's 1, 2, 3, 4 bounce breakout. That's a 6-point move. This time we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's what it was. 1, 2, 3, 4 bounce, breakout. And now we're doing the thing that I thought we were doing yesterday, you know, way up here, essentially. I thought this was beginning that dump, and apparently it was. This double bounce just threw me. So I think what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm not going to redraw lines. The reason why I do that, or I should say wedges, not lines. The reason why I do that is because there's already a ton of clutter in here. You can see all these little dinky lines, and it gets pretty crazy. So drawing more lines in can be overwhelming. But when you draw a second wedge rather than reshape the first wedge, you don't forget about the first wedge. And I'm not saying anybody forgot. I'm just saying that it's, you know, it's out of sight, out of mind kind of a thing. So another way that you can look at this too, you know, instead of a double bounce, is you can draw the line down here. And sorry, I told you, no sleep. My brain just switched subjects. 1, 2, 3. And then it was, sorry, nope, there's 4. And then it bounced. And there's a single bounce. Because sometimes that happens. But it kind of looked like a double bounce, a double attempt at breaking out of the wedge. Anyway, I digress. I told you this was going to be a shit show. we are now moving down this teal channel. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to have our 4, like I said, somewhere down here around 18.2. It's possible that this ends up doing, some weird stuff like, let me draw that out here to actually sit on it. And it comes down here, hits, bounces out, and then hits here, and then breaks down. So it could do something like that. But we're still, nonetheless, in this teal wedge. And obviously this line is totally subjective because we only have 1 point right there. But depending on where you got in this box, I'll just take it up from the top line and measure it out. And 18.2, you're looking at almost a 6-point move. At 40x leverage, that's 240%. Not to shake a stick at. So lots of opportunity out there. And then from there, where are we headed? That's what I was touching on yesterday in my video. You'd be looking at, 21.2, somewhere in there, because you're going to break out of this red, break out of the orange, green, and purple is my guess. So now it may not be that smooth. I'm not saying you're just going to just blow through them like in a straight line. It might be something more where you come out, bounce off the green, come down, finally break out of the green, hit the purple, bounce off the purple, and go up like that. I'm not sure, and I'll know more as it unfolds. But yeah, I can see, even as high as 21.5, 21.6, you could get up in here. And that's almost 19%. At 40x leverage, that's 760%. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. So when you miss one of these trades or you get stopped out, or in the case of the teal wedge that didn't play out, don't worry about it. You're going to be right back in it. There's plenty more opportunity where that came from. I also wanted to point out really quickly on the 4 hour here, we blew way outside the bands here. And now it makes more sense that we're going to pop out down here before we take off again. But that's not always how it works out, especially in a bull market. I'm not saying we're in a bull market, but especially in a bull market, you can get this like 16 times on the way up. It's ridiculous. Before you have a reset out the other side. So I'm just saying there's more confluence there that this coming down to this point would actually make sense with what took place out here. And then last but not least, let's not forget our fib circles. We've got this one is the next one that we're going to be hitting. And from a time standpoint, on the daily, depending on where we hit, because obviously if we dump here and then hit there, this would be, these circles slow my thing down so badly. We'll be looking at either September 30th or October 1st, probably more like October 1st. But if we take off, which I think we'll be doing once we come down, we might even like come down here, jump over, and then run up the ring. That might be how we get up here, break through the ring, dump. So look for that as well. But depending on, where we make contact, it could be as late as the 3rd or even the 4th. But first week of October, basically. But that's it for me today, guys. So I didn't even get the video exported yet before Bitcoined. And it came down out of this white rising wedge that we were in and dumped. But this was only the 3rd hit on this rising wedge. So then we shot all the way up here in 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. So we shot up in 20 minutes. So after you got all these gains, in 20 minutes, if you didn't use a stop loss, you'd have been liquidated. If you're operating at 40, 50, 60 or higher leverage. This right here is the reason for a stop loss. Oh my God. This game is no joke. I've got viewers, friends even, that still don't really operate with a stop loss. They just jump in on a market order and see where it takes them, and they get their asses handed to them. You just got to use a stop loss. But anyway, I just wanted to point this out. It's an excellent lesson on the stop loss, but also we are retracing now from that high of 19,639, basically 19,640. We're retracing, and then we're going to bounce up here and then come down here, and we've got to work our way now out of this orange wedge. So we had an even healthier, if that's the word you want to use, a healthier bounce before we come crashing down out of that. So everything still holds true. It's just Bitcoin went about it slightly differently. And to be perfectly honest with you, in this purple wedge, because it's so steep here, and then we broke over and up, I should have known better that it was going to be skyrocketing after it hit its third spot. 4 hours of sleep. It wasn't just the video that was a shit show. It's everything else that comes after that. So, not shocking now that I'm actually seeing how it played out. But yeah, when you have such a steep run like this and then you break into an up, there's got to be compensation for it in the wedge. So this is going to be extremely steep. So you've got to come much, much higher. And now what does that do for the bigger wedge that we're in here? Now we've got a sideways broadening wedge, which apparently is Bitcoin's favorite thing in the world to do. Super fun there. But, we'll get this breakdown here, and then a bounce, and then out, down to that 18.2 before we take off. So it all plays, but my God, does this coin love sideways broadening wedges. I mean, at least it's better than the symmetrical wedge, but just not by a whole lot. Anyway, this time I mean it. That's it for me today, guys. I'll catch you in the next video.